Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video, and I took a little bit of time because I wanted to see what I thought about this. I wanted to do a little bit of research. Now, if you haven't heard already, TLC 3 has been announced. It's kind of been officially stated what they're doing, how they're planning on it. I will say that there are a couple of things that I have ideas for the future that I think that they're kind of leading to with this, and how this is kind of leading towards the next development, whether that be Arc 2 or a more season-based arc. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I kind of like what they did, but let's talk about it before I get into all these conspiracy theories, if you want to call them that, or whatever you want. Let's talk about what it actually is. Now, obviously, if you go to the survivethearc.com, you can see that they've got all their Genesis stuff still up and running, the hover skiff, all this kind of basic stuff. Nothing super special there. Now, I sometimes question what this is over here, but I'm not going to go into anything special yet because I know I see the Astrocetus. I know I see a lot of stuff that's brand new, but I don't know what these kind of floating things are, but I'm not going to go there. So anyways, let's talk about what's going on over here. So they've got two dinosaurs that they're finally going to give an update to. The Stegosaurus and this bad boy right here, the woolly mammoth. Now, you'll notice there's kind of some interesting things that they're going to do about it. And they say they're anxious on it. Polish, ballast, quality of life updates in store. So there's more stuff than they're just announcing. They are just announcing right now the two dinosaurs. Now, I can't state that enough because there is going to be, as they do with every TLC, some very different changes to the game. Last TLC, they introduced the system to kind of start the anti-meshing process, which is a great thing. I mean, it's not perfect yet, but it's starting, so that's a huge help. They still need to polish out the game a little bit more. Everyone's like, oh, Arc's done. No one likes it. It's got glitches. Every game in the world has glitches. It just takes time to fix them and try to figure out how to actually, do better. So let's talk about the actual TLC update itself. Now, the woolly mammoth. Now, if you haven't known before, the woolly mammoth was kind of good for a little while it was able to get a bunch of wood and had a high health stat to it, but it didn't really have anything else. So early game, it was good for like a couple of, like a week or two, and then you're just like, I don't need it anymore. So it never had a secondary purpose. Now, this is where it's like, ooh, interesting. Now, where it kind of sucks is it's going to require two people. Now, you can see it right here. You've got a front rider, the person that's driving the woolly mammoth, and then you've got a back rider. Now, two things. One, the back guy can literally play drums, and it gives an AOE, which if you don't know what that means, an area of effect buff, that improves stamina regeneration and makes it you're immune to fear. Now, two things that I say about this. One, it basically means that UDs can't scare you off. And, that's kind of just an amazing thing. Two, I think that probably means that in the next upcoming update, the mammoth is meant to counter something that's going to be able to fear you. Now, don't hold me to that, but I just think that typically Arc tends to release creatures based on upcoming events and countering those, because sometimes they'll create these super creatures. But if you look quietly in the patches before, they do have dinosaurs that kind of counteract those effects. So I think that this is probably going to be useful for the next update, especially, even right now, and it's an awesome stamina regeneration is an amazing thing to have. So that's not bad at all. Now, it also gets some really interesting special abilities. You can see it AoE debuff occurs with all enemies in range with its trumpet. So if the driver can release that, the sweeps can gather. So it's like it basically takes a left and right kind of AoE approach to harvest a ton of thatch. It still gets good wood here. You can see that it puts on a forward slam. Now I'm questioning how big is this AoE, because the mammoth might be the new wood gatherer. We'll see. I don't know for sure. Taking one of these things through a swamp on a raft might be the new way to go about it if this is good. I don't know for sure. And then this is where it's going to be really, really interesting. Similar to the Carcanos grab, it is able to grab, hold, and release smaller targets. Now the question is, does it have the ability to throw something? That I don't know. And I am curious to find that out, because if it has the ability to pick something up, it would mean that it could probably hold smaller creatures like a Carpanimus and kind of soak a little bit with the Carbonemus. So there's going to be some interesting strategies here to be released into the game. Maybe they can pick up a Stego. I don't know. It's kind of curious. I'm curious to see what they're able to do, which is interesting. But there's a bunch of big buffs that they have introduced to the Mammoth itself. And that's amazing. I like Mammoths. Mammoths are only about 10,000 years old, so they're not quite with the age of the dinosaurs. Same thing with the woolly rhinos, the Thylacoleo, which is commonly called the American lion. And a whole bunch of these interesting updates. So I'm curious. I'm excited. They are really a huge creature of justice. It's good that they're getting a little bit of I think they should do this all the creatures, have everything with like a unique thing just to really change the meta. But that's my personal opinion. So now, anyways, let's move on to the second dinosaur. I know I can talk about the mammoth. I love mammoths all day. Stegosaurus. Now, if you haven't figured it out already, the Stegosaurus was already overpowered for one purpose. You've never used him before. The Stegosaurus is amazing. If you take a Carcanos, put somebody on a Stego, and launch that Stego into somebody's base, you can basically get a missile with you attached to it, being able to throw C4 for free onto somebody's base. Now, a lot of people haven't figured that out yet, but it's a really easy way to do it. And you can actually, do some very serious damage with that. So the Stego was already a really overpowered tame, and now they're adding even more to it. Now, it used to be the only soaker. This was like years ago, and then they kind of introduced the trike again and stuff like that. So 3 different modes: hardened plate, heavy plate, and sharpened plate. Now, this is going to be interesting because the hardened plate is the damage reduction, what it already has, and you can't be dismounted. So does that mean you can't get picked by a Carcanos? Does that mean you can't get taken off? Because that is powerful. Because if you think about it this way, launching at somebody else's base where you can't get taken off, you can't get whipped off, you can't get dismounted, that's nuts. Because you get a free missile into somebody's base, or a free attack, basically. The next thing is heavy plate. It applies a slow when attacking with the basic tail whip, and you can also gather increased thatch. So I'm curious to see if this is now a thatch gatherer, maybe, I don't know. But if you get that slow, these are going to start to be used for more than just soaking techniques, I think is a good way to put it. They're going to be combined with attacking techniques. So in like a Giga fight where you've got 3 Gigas on 3 Gigas or 5 on 5, if you have one Stego underneath applying a slow, that is a huge, huge, huge help. So I'm curious to see how that actually plays in. I'm not sure how big of a slow it's going to be. But most of the slows this game has are pretty serious. It's not like a gentle slow. It's like a half your movement speed or more is now gone. Now, this is what I'm really excited for. This is the one that I think is going to be removed almost instantaneously. Sharpened plate mode. Now, hear me out. So this is an armor penetration effect when attacking with the tail whip, and it's used for harvesting berries. Now, one, that means that a survivor is going to basically, it's like a compound bow where you can shoot through the armor. However, I think it's also going to work with saddles. Yeah, that's where it's going to be interesting. If it is an armor penetrating saddle effect, so you can get rid of some of the saddles on official servers now are like capped, and there's nothing you can do about it because unless you use a compound bow, things take almost no damage. Now, if this is an armor piercing attack, Stegos might actually become an actually used PvP weapon. Now, the reason I say that is pretty simple. Because if you have armor penetration, that means you're probably doing 2 to 3 times the amount of damage that you normally would. Let's say the saddle is reducing the damage you do to like 50 damage, right? At 150 damage versus 50, you are going to be able to kill something 3 times faster. Yeah, and that's assuming you don't level up melee. So I think that that's just going to be absolutely bonkers. This is going to be removed, or people are just going to figure out how to really cheese the system. And I'm excited. I think it's awesome. When you get an attack like this sharpened plate mode, I'm curious to see how effective it. Now, obviously, this is all speculation, so I don't know for sure. So don't hold me to it. But I think that it's going to be very powerful in attacking, or at least with a Giga or with a Rex as its support. excuse me, the Stego is going to be a very, 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 very powerful thing. Now, you can see this. Kind of curious to see, does this mean that it constantly holds them and immobilizes them? So if this is the case, where someone's running around and you're able to impale and immobilize them, does that mean that they can't do anything, or is there a timer? Because if there's not a timer, you have free jail using the Stego. You literally just get somebody with it and boom, handcuff them, done. You win. You can literally person by person tear apart somebody's base. So I don't know exactly why. I would hope they put a timer on it, but you never know. It's Ark. Obviously, you can see the Evo event coming up. Now, let me talk about some of my speculation. Now, obviously, Ark Genesis 2 is coming out, and then they said, keyword they said, this is going to be the last update to Ark 1. However, they hired a ton of new people. So I think either Ark 2 is coming out, or they're going to increase the it's very popular with video games nowadays, where they do a season-based thing. So the game lasts a lot longer, but their content that they release is constantly changing. So that way it's the same game, but updating as it goes. Kind of like games like Rainbow Six Siege that has been around for 5 or 6 years. You've got League of Legends that's changing with seasons. All these new season, Fortnite, everything, all changing with the season. So I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, tell me what you think in the comments below. I will keep an eye on this, and again, I wanted to take some time to see what I thought about it, and I'm pretty excited. So anyways, hopefully this helps, and teach. Ow.